Hello, students. I wanted to go over a few things with you about the Task 1 commentary, just some of the things that I'm seeing that absolutely need to be fixed for your submission. So I want to give y'all some examples of things that I've been seeing just to kind of help y'all realize what kind of y'all are doing and what kind of needs to be changed. All of the feedback that I give is based on the handbook. It's nothing new. It's no new information. It's all in the handbook. So I would encourage that all of you go back and look at the rubrics in your handbook and see if your answers to the commentary will get you a 5 on that rubric, just in your own opinion. So for example, one of the things that y'all kind of have to do in the narrative is be specific. Be specific. So for example, some of you are writing things like this. I will include an assessment of the topic in lesson 3. No, you cannot just say you're going to include an assessment of the topic in lesson 3. Number one, this doesn't talk about what kind of assessment it is. It doesn't talk about what you're actually assessing, and those are things that are critical to the commentary. For example, a good way to write this that is detailed and specific would be something like this. In lesson 3, I will assess the student's ability to verbally cite a series of 4 vocabulary words describing their body position as they perform the skill of shooting a basketball. Okay, notice I'm saying exactly what I'm assessing. Okay, now have I said how I'm going to assess? I haven't, so that's why I'm going into the next sentence here. Notice there's more than one sentence to describe something that I'm doing. This assessment will include verbal feedback and my completion of a single point rubric for written feedback, which will be given to the student after they perform the skill. Okay, not only am I telling exactly what I'm assessing or how I'm assessing, I'm telling when the students get my feedback. On the single point rubric, the student will be encouraged to write a goal for themselves as we move beyond the skill of shooting and begin focusing on percentage of free throws made from the free throw line. As you can see, I'm giving like the next step. So here's my feedback about the basketball shooting and what's the student supposed to do with it. This gives them an opportunity to take my feedback and make a goal for themselves. Okay, so it's not just like an assessment that you have no idea what the student's getting in feedback or what the student's supposed to do. So that's one thing. Just be specific in your words. Also, make sure you use good grammar and spelling. Many of y'all did not write incomplete sentences. An ETPA reader is not going to pass a portfolio that is full of incomplete sentences. So make sure you use complete sentences. Okay, here's another example. So for the knowledge of students, I believe on most of y'all it's 2A, 2B. Let me see real quick. Let me look. 2B. It specifically asks that, I'm going to read it to y'all. It says, with respect to the central focus, describe what you know about your students related to the central focus. So, cite evidence of what students know, what they can do, what they're still learning to do. Then it says, what do you know about your students' everyday experiences, cultural and language backgrounds and practices and interests? None of you are writing about your students' culture. You've got to go back and put that in. Okay? You have to go back and put that in. For example, right here, do not write, the students have an idea of how to shoot a basketball from their experiences playing at recess and watching basketball on TV. While that is actually better than what some of you wrote on this, because some of you wrote nothing, look at this, okay? This specifically talks about culture, community, and how that impacts what you're doing. Remember, you're not just doing this to do it. You have to have a reason for why you do what you do. That's what EdTPA wants to know. They want to know that you understand the culture of your students and you're adapting your instruction to meet that. So, in my example, the majority of my students within this classroom are white and from a rural area. They I got to work on my grammar right there. They tend to be focused on agriculture and industry within the area. Most students are involved in the ag program, and almost all of them love country music and are all excited about showing their chickens at the fair next week. This shows that you actually know who your students are. Okay? Show the reader that you know who your students are. All right? They're not just faces coming in. You know what they're interested in and what they're doing. Within this primary culture, there are a few other students who do not prefer agriculture and who instead devote their time and energy to playing basketball and watching basketball. One of the students plays AAU basketball successfully on a travel team. This shows that you're paying attention to specific students, okay? This mix of cultures and backgrounds challenges me to make the basketball shooting lesson interesting for the students who are really not motivated to learn basketball because they're interested in other things, like ag. I've grouped those students together and created a game-based activity for them to compete against each other to see who can be the most accurate in their basketball shots. For the students who are already experts at basketball shooting, I have given them a role within this activity as a peer feedback provider. These students who are adept at shooting the basketball help give verbal cues to the students who have less experience. All students are encouraged to give positive and respectful feedback to each other during the activity so that a safe and accepting classroom environment is established. Notice how this focuses on the culture, the experiences of the student. It's helping me design my lesson, okay? So that's for 2B. Something like that is a lot better than just putting, something like this, okay? The last thing I want to talk to you about is the research and theorists. I'm seeing a lot of people just throwing in a random sentence like this. I use John Dewey's theories in my classroom, or in my lesson. No. Just by reading this, I can tell you don't even know what his theories are, nor do you understand what they do. So don't do this. What you need to do is specifically state the theory of the person who came up with the theory and give a real citation, like APA citation. It doesn't have to be APA. It could be MLA or Chicago or whatever. But use a real citation, okay? Because this is not your idea, this is someone else's idea, and you're formatting it to inspire your lesson. So, for example, John Dewey's theories of constructivism, okay, you cited a specific theory, was the inspiration for lesson 1. This lesson requires students to construct knowledge as they practice shooting the basketball with verbal cues. This indicates that you actually understand the theory, okay? You can't just throw in someone's name and the word theory and say, well, my lesson follows this. No, it doesn't. You have to show that you know it. As the student repeats the task with the verbal cues, they are constructing new knowledge about how to effectively use adjusted psychomotor skills to shoot a basketball, along with verbal reminders to impact the cognitive domain as they shoot. Make sure that you're keying back in to the different parts of the narrative. Like, for example, this one is a reference to how the central focus impacts affective and cognitive and psychomotor domain. So make sure that you're actually showing the reader that you understand the theories, okay? And also, you must have a citation. You must have a citation, okay? This right here. Include the citation, all right? Okay, I hope this helps. Go back through your narratives, your planning commentaries, and look at my notes that I'm giving you and revise and re-upload for full credit. I know this is hard and I know it's not fun, but I would much rather you get very pointed feedback from me now than not pass. So I know it's really hard and it takes a lot of work, but yeah, I really want y'all to pass because we need teachers so bad. And I want y'all to just get through this, okay? So go back, look at your lesson, make changes, and then re-upload for full credit. Bye.